Commodities getting crushed in today's sell-off. Crude falling more than 1%, while Brent dropped nearly 3%. Copper also tumbling today to its 2019 lows. Our next guest says more pain could be coming for commodities. Let's get straight to the chart master, Carter Worth, to break it down with the plasma. Hey, Carter, what are you looking at?
Sure, so many things, obviously, but this is in many ways the center of the storm. There's beta in commodities, cyclicality, and they are sort of a gambling chip in many ways when trade wars are in play, et cetera, and so forth. The commodity index itself, it's an equal weighted index from corn and cotton and soybeans to steel, oil, nat gas, copper. And, you know, you could say there's not a lot there, and yet at the same time we could draw lines. I would think one way you can draw the lines is as follows, that you have a fairly well-defined series of higher lows and then a big old plunge. Same thing here, a well-defined series of lows. It's the importance of levels. And both of these, in a way, set up like that, too. So you get into the apex, and you drop. Not good. No way around that. So a longer-term chart. These are the lows in 2016. And what I would say you can see is the following, that we've just now, let's zoom this in here, you can see that we've just now broken below that minor trend line on the bottom. And so I think the setup here calls for substantially lower moves in commodities. Let's pull it back and look at a few other iterations. Here is an ETF you can play. It's the GSCI, symbol GSG, commodity ETF. And what we know is that this has already broken. You can see it here too. Let me zoom in there just so you can see it. You've actually breached the lower level. That's not a good setup, and it's a fairly well-defined low from which we've just, again, come apart. In terms of crude, which is the big one, it's all the same general setup. It's the precision of the levels. It should make no sense fundamentally, and yet it happens all the time. And this kind of setup is more often not resolved the same way. And then finally, copper. Now, copper is hovering ominously at well-defined lows, and the betting here is, of course, that we break sharply. It really doesn't matter what commodity, they're all under pressure, and the presumption is generally lower.
Carter, come on over. We need you here at the desk.
Bring him
Big
over.
Day,
TV Dub.
lots of questions. Jonah will bring the chair in, as he always does. Thank you, Jonah. So does this mean that the dollar chart indicates the dollar will go higher?
Well, I mean, there's a relationship long-term between the dollar and commodities, and yet in any given month or hour, any given 6 months period, this is just not true, right? And so while the dollar's broken out and fallen back, I think, of course, the big play, if you want to get into that real macro sort of thing, the ultimate currency is going to be gold, silver, Bitcoin here, for instance, rather than the dollar.
So gold, silver, Bitcoin, those look good to you.
They do, and also it's classically defensive. What held up today? Utilities, REITs, just as would be expected.
Have any charts been broken today?
Broken in terms
of the major market indices or major sectors?
Well, sure. I mean, I guess the thing is day to day. Could one say it's overdone? I think it is. I think you could get a bounce, but it's really about this. Either one accepts or doesn't accept the fact that global equities peaked in January of 2018, and it's never gotten better since. And that this has been an impressive rally this year, but bear market rallies usually are.
So, Carter, I'm curious on the oil chart. I've heard a lot of people talking that it could be going much lower, just based on the technicals. Last time we had kind of a credit issue, oil went down to $20. Is that in the cards?
Right. So if you think about it, it peaked in July of 08 at 147 a barrel. It got down to, 24 or thereabouts in 16, and here we are in the mid-50s. Why not, right? Why can't it go lower? As much lower as the imagination will allow.
Carter, if you look at the chart of copper, on some level that to me is the most concerning, because to me that's actually the one commodity that's probably got the most supply-demand balance of all of them. I actually think copper could have some potential for disruption. But it looks to me like a head and shoulders. Talk to me. You've probably been staring at that one.
Yeah, it is just exactly that. I didn't happen to draw it that way, but one could have, one should.
Yeah.
All right, Carter, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Carter, Braxton, Worth. Tim, you're mentioning emerging markets really got slammed in today's session.
Yeah, so EMs is oversold now as they have been since 2011, which says a lot for emerging markets. It continues to make fresh 9-year lows on a relative basis to the S&P. That's scary.
Yeah. Karen?
It's interesting to me, though, Merge, when things get so ugly, I'm going to start to look to, I have some exposure, I'm going to start to look to add.